Well, hello. Yes, you read the title correctly. I've been bullied by my own principal when I was younger. Oh, he didn't even just bully me, he also beat me as well. This story happened a long time ago when I was 5 years old. So there's gonna be gaps between the memories. The only reason I even remember it is thanks to trauma. Thanks to trauma, I can remember things far back when. The farthest I could go is 2 years old, but we're gonna talk about that later. Some people go through trauma differently, but in my case, I like to make fun of the subject. That's how I cope. So this all started back in Korea. Back in the day, Korean teachers used to punish their students with physical violence. But in this case, it wasn't a punishment, it was a beatdown. Fun fact, all corporal punishment of children in South Korea has been prohibited since March 2021. So yeah, it was a problem. It all started with me drawing in my kindergarten class. I was drawing an Astro Boy and Ben 10 so I could cut them out and play it as an action figure. After I finished drawing, he came into our class looking around to find his next victim. While everyone was playing with toys in a group, I was sitting all alone. He came up to me and asked what I was drawing. I said Astro Boy and Ben 10. He grabbed my paper and looked at it closely. I reached over and asked him to give it back. He kept pulling away and made fun of me for trying to get my art back. Afterwards, he gave it back and made fun of me for crying. He commented that it wasn't accurate to the actual Astro Boy. He stopped as soon as the teacher came in and saw me crying. She knew he bothered me. He has history of joking around with kids and he doesn't mean anything. He bullies every kid. He does not discriminate. Every day he comes to my house to pick me up in his van filled with kids. In South Korea, at the age of 5 and up, you either walk to school or the principal picks you up from a van or a bus or take the train. He came with his wife and several other kids. I went in there saying goodbye to my mom. He was driving towards the school and he was going uphill. For context, this hill swerves left and right without a railing. Also, it's a small hill. He was driving and jokingly swerved, shouting, "We're gonna cry!" Everyone was panicking, screaming, and crying while he was laughing the entire time. His wife told him to stop messing around, and we arrived scared shitless. I think one of the kids peed their pants. Another thing he did was scare us with an ogre mask. He did that a couple of times. It was a weekly thing. Some Courage the Cowardly Dog type shit. I remember this very vividly, but one day he took it too far. We were playing around and we got thirsty, so we walked towards a water fountain around the corner. You know where this is going. We grabbed our paper cups and all of a sudden, he jumped out of the corner with an ogre mask and started to chase us. And when I was younger, I was the runt of the litter, so I was always the slowest. You know where this is going. So he grabbed my arm and kneed my stomach. He gut checked me with his knee. Of course, I was crying, and I was moving slowly, crawling towards the classroom as he was laughing at me. My friends at the time, who were twins, let's call them Tweedledee and Tweedledum, witnessed what happened, and they try to comfort me. Teacher saw me crying, so she tried to comfort me, and I told her exactly what happened, and afterwards, I saw her walking up to her principal and start to chat. I came home crying. My parents were wondering why I was crying, and my teacher said Ace got in trouble with his principal, so he got a little upset right now. He got in trouble, he kneed me in my stomach. So what happened is the principal lied to the teacher and she told my parents I got in trouble. My parents believed in what my teacher said. My parents got a call from Tweedledee and Tweedledee's mom saying, "Hey, I heard from my kids that Ace got hit by the principal." I don't think that's what happened. "Hey, Ace, did he hit you?" "Yeah, he hit me." I was too young to articulate the words to tell them that he kneed me in my stomach. My parents and my aunt were furious. I forgot to mention, we used to live with my aunt. My parents and my aunt were furious. So they called the principal and asked him for an apology. But he didn't apologize. He said he didn't do anything. So my parents said, either you apologize or we call the police.
Let me think about it. No. I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, if you want to report me, you can report me if you want, but I'm innocent.
Now, was he a civil human being and admitted his mistakes? No, of course not. Did he apologize? Absolutely not. What did you expect from it? A kind apology over a phone in my dreams? My parents and my aunt were even more furious. My aunt took me to a police station and I reported it. But for me, the process was really terrifying. I can see the jail cell in the corner of my eyes, scary looking criminals yelling at the police officers saying they're innocent. It was extremely overwhelming for a 5-year-old me to report this. After I reported him, finally, my principal decided to apologize. He came to our house with a box of apples apologizing. It's so on brand of Koreans to apologize with box of apples. You see it everywhere in K-drama. In Korea, giving apple is a symbolic gesture of apology. Also, the word apologize and apple is spelled the same. 사과, 사과. I'm sorry I made a big mistake. You're right, you made a big mistake, you little. While he was apologizing, my aunt had enough of his BS. So she kicked him out of the house and yelled at him, "How dare you hurt my favorite nephew?" That's why we call her 최고고모. It translates to best aunt. After he left, my aunt destroyed his and the kindergarten's reputation. The principal got a small fine because he was too old. And his behavior was from a different time. It was normal to hit kids back in his days. Also, it was his first time being a principal as well. But at the end of the day, the judge just gave him a slap on the wrist and let him go. Well, I said that's a load of The Korean justice system, ladies and gentlemen. What a great system. I got all this information from my parents. Speaking of which, while I was writing this, it turns out my parents didn't know my principal kneed me in my stomach. All they knew was that I got hit by my principal, and my dad said I was too young to describe what actually happened. For the longest time, I thought I did tell them that he kneed me in my stomach. And the next kindergarten I went to, my teacher accidentally dislocated my arm. Thanks for watching my video, like and subscribe.